Hey everyone, it's Joy. I'm usually here to share the happy moments of farm life and motherhood, but today my heart is just so heavy. You've all seen the pictures circulating of Hannah and Jeremiah, and honestly, it's been hard for me to even look at them. We all love our babies, but there's a look in Hannah's eyes lately that I recognize. It's the look of a woman who is completely, physically spent. The rumors of this new pregnancy, coming just months after her last birth, have hit our family like a tidal wave. As a mom of 3, I know what it's like to be tired, but what Hannah is facing is something else entirely. It's a health crisis disguised as a blessing. Today, I'm putting aside the everything is perfect filter. I'm going to be 100% real with you about what's happening behind closed doors, the medical warnings we are all terrified of, and the truth about the Irish twin pressure in our circle. This is 70 minutes of raw truth for Hannah's sake and for every mom who feels like she's breaking. We need to talk about this. I remember the exact moment I saw that photo of Hannah on the couch. It wasn't one of those posed, beautiful shots you usually see from our family. It was raw. She was just gone. Her eyes were half closed. Her skin looked pale. And she was clutching that newborn like it was the only thing keeping her upright. But the thing that stopped my heart was that visible bump. As soon as I saw it, I just sat down and cried. I know that look. It's not just tired mom look. It's the look of total physiological depletion. It's a look of a body that has been asked to do the impossible. When that photo went viral, some people were congratulating them. But all I could think was, is she going to be okay? I called Austin immediately, and we both just stood there in the kitchen, worried sick. We love Jeremiah and Hannah so much, and seeing them look so defeated while the rest of the world is just waiting for a baby reveal feels like a nightmare. That photo wasn't an announcement. It was a cry for help that the world finally saw. Jeremiah has always been one of the strongest ones in our family. He's steady, he's a worker, and he doesn't complain. But lately, his phone calls to me have been different. He doesn't say it outright, because that's not really how we were raised. But I can hear the tremor in his voice. He's scared. He's watching the woman he loves struggle to even stand up in the morning. He's seeing her push herself to keep the house clean, to keep the baby fed, and to smile for the cameras, all while her body is basically cannibalizing itself to grow another life. He told me the other day that the doctors are using words like high, risk, and emergency monitoring, and he just didn't know what to do. It breaks my heart because Jeremiah wants to be the leader and the protector. But how do you protect your wife from a situation that your own culture says is a blessing? He's caught between his beliefs and the terrifying reality in front of his eyes. I can tell he's not sleeping. He's carrying the weight of 2 infants and a sick wife, and he feels like he has to do it all with a smile. I've never seen him this fragile. Let's just be real for a second about what 3 months postpartum feels like. I've been there. At 3 months, you are finally, starting to feel like a human being again. Your hormones are just beginning to level out, your body is starting to heal, and you might actually be getting a 4-hour stretch of sleep. To find out you're pregnant again at that exact moment. It's like being told you have to run another marathon the day after you finished your first one. Your iron is low, your calcium is gone, and if you're breastfeeding, you are literally being drained from both sides. Hannah hasn't even had time to process being a mom of 1 yet, and now she's being thrown into the hardest physical challenge of her life. People call them Irish twins, like it's a cute nickname. But there's nothing cute about the toll it takes on a woman's heart and bones. She's living in a constant fog of nausea and exhaustion, and she has to do it while chasing a baby who is just starting to become active. It's a 24/7 battle for survival, and I just wish she had been given the chance to breathe. Growing up in our family, we were taught that children are always a blessing, no matter when they come. We've all heard the verse about arrows in the quiver, and for a long time, I think we all felt this unspoken pressure to fill that quiver as fast as we could. But as I've gotten older and had my own kids, I've started to realize that the weight of that quiver is carried almost entirely by the mom. When Hannah found out she was pregnant again so soon, I could see that weight on her shoulders. It's not just the physical weight of a baby, it's the emotional weight of knowing you don't have anything left to give. In our circle, there's almost a silent competition: who can have the most babies, who can snap back the fastest, and who can handle the most chaos without complaining. Hannah is such a sweet, quiet soul, and I think she feels like she has to live up to that Duggar standard. She doesn't want to be the one to say, "I'm not ready," or "I'm scared." She wants to be the joyful mother she's been told she should be. But looking at her now, I see someone who is drowning under the expectations of a lifestyle that doesn't always account for a woman's breaking point. It's a lot to carry, and I wish someone would have told her that it's okay to put the arrows down for a minute and just breathe. I'm going to be really honest here, because I think we need to talk about what back-to-back pregnancies actually do to a woman's body. It's not all cute nurseries and tiny shoes. At 3 months postpartum, your body is still trying to find its way back. Your core muscles are stretched, your pelvic floor is weak, and your bones have literally given up their calcium to build your last baby. When a new baby starts growing right on top of that, your body doesn't have a reset button. Hannah has been dealing with such severe back pain that she can barely lift her newborn. She's losing her hair. Her skin is breaking out, and she's constantly dizzy because her iron levels just haven't had time to recover. It's like her body is screaming for rest, but the new pregnancy is demanding everything she has left. I've seen her try to hide the pain behind a smile when we're all together, but you can see her wince every time she has to move. It's heartbreaking to watch because I know she wants to be a fun, active mom, but she's physically being drained from the inside out. We talk about life all the time, but we have to remember that Hannah's life and health are just as precious as the baby she's carrying. Her body is a temple, but right now, that temple is under a lot of structural stress. I remember Jeremiah telling me about their first ultrasound for this new pregnancy. Usually, that's such a happy time, but he said the atmosphere in the room was actually really heavy. The doctor didn't just give them the congratulations. He gave them a very serious warning. He used terms like uterine rupture risk and placental insufficiency because of how short the gap was between births. He told them that because Hannah hadn't fully healed from her last delivery, this pregnancy was automatically being labeled as high risk. I think that was the first time the reality really set in for Jeremiah. He saw the doctor's face, and he realized this wasn't just another Duggar baby story. This was a medical emergency in the making. The doctor told her she needed total bed rest, but how do you do bed rest when you have a 3-month-old who needs you every second? It's an impossible situation. Seeing that doctor's urgent warning on the charts isn't something you can just pray away. It requires medical intervention and a level of care that our family isn't always used to. It was a wake-up call that I'm not sure Jeremiah was ready for. In our family, Irish twins, or siblings born within a year of each other, is almost seen as a badge of honor. We've had so many close gaps in our family history that it started to feel normal. We celebrate it. We talk about how the kids will be best friends and how the mom is so strong for handling it. But I'm starting to see the dark side of that tradition. We celebrate the strength, but we don't talk about the cost. My sister Jill, who is a midwife, has been the one trying to warn us for years about the dangers of these short gaps. She tries to tell us that the body needs 18 months to fully recover. But in our culture, waiting 18 months is seen as controlling your fertility instead of trusting God. It's a hard cycle to break. Hannah is caught in the middle of that tradition. She hears the older generation talking about how God will provide the strength, but she's the one who has to live with the physical consequences when that strength runs thin. We need to stop romanticizing the struggle and start respecting the science of how God actually made our bodies to work. Tradition shouldn't be a death sentence for a mother's health. If you look at Hannah's Instagram, you'll see the beautiful, high saturation photos of her in floral dresses, looking peaceful. But let me tell you, that is not the reality I see when I visit her. Behind that filter is a living room that's a war zone of laundry, half-eaten meals, and baby gear. There are days when Hannah doesn't even have the energy to brush her teeth, let alone a glow for a photo. I've walked in and found her crying in the kitchen because she's so nauseous she can't even stand the smell of the baby's formula. It's the 2 a.m. reality that no one sees, the tears of frustration when you're too tired to sleep and too sick to eat. We've become so good at presenting this perfect life to the world, but it's a lie that's hurting people. It's hurting Hannah because she feels like a failure when she can't live up to the image she's projected. We need to be okay with showing the mess. We need to be okay with saying, this is really hard, and I'm not okay. The world sees the Irish twins headline, but they don't see the woman behind it who is just trying to make it to the next hour without collapsing. When you're in a situation like Hannah's, the joy of a new baby is often overshadowed by a very real, very heavy fear. In our family, we've experienced the heartbreak of loss before, and we know that every pregnancy is a fragile miracle. But when the pregnancies are this close together, the medical risks for the baby, not just the mom, go up. Jeremiah and I have talked about this in whispers. There's this fear of a placental abruption or the baby being born so early that their lungs aren't ready. Hannah carries that fear every time she feels a sharp pain or every time she's too exhausted to move. It's a different kind of pregnancy when you're not just picking out names, but you're also counting kicks with a sense of desperation. She knows her body is depleted, and she's terrified that she won't be able to give this new little one what they need to grow strong. We all sit in church and pray for a healthy baby, but behind those prayers is the knowledge that we've pushed the limits of biology. It's a heavy burden for a mom to feel like her own exhaustion might be a risk to her child. That fear of loss is a shadow that follows her into every room, and it's something no congratulations card can fix. We'll often focus on the mom, and rightfully so, but I've been watching my brother Jeremiah closely, and he is reaching a breaking point of his own. Jeremiah was raised to be the rock, the one who provides, the one who protects, and the one who never shows weakness. But you can only carry so much before the cracks start to show. He's working all day to support a growing family, then coming home to a house where his wife is too sick to stand and a newborn is crying for attention. He's doing the laundry, he's heating up bottles, and he's trying to be the emotional support Hannah needs, all while he's terrified he might lose her or the baby. I saw him last week just sitting in his truck in the driveway for 10 minutes before coming inside, just staring into space. He's exhausted, he's overwhelmed, and I think he feels a lot of guilt. He feels like he should have been a better protector. In our culture, the man is the head of the house, and if the house is in crisis, the weight of that failure sits on his shoulders. Jeremiah isn't just tired. He's grieving the normal life he thought they would have, and he's doing it all in silence because he doesn't want to add to Hannah's stress. I look at Hannah, and I can't help but think back to my own pregnancies with Gideon, Evelyn, and Gunnar. Even with a normal gap between babies, I was completely worn out. I remember days with Gunnar where I just sat on the floor and cried because the house was a mess and I didn't have the energy to make dinner. And that was with a body that had time to heal. Comparing my experience to what Hannah is going through right now makes me feel almost guilty. I had 18 months, even 2 years, to get my strength back. Hannah had 3 months. It makes me realize how much we take for granted the luxury of rest. I find myself wanting to apologize to her for the family culture that made this feel like a requirement and for not speaking up sooner about how hard this actually is. When I talk to her, I try to be the voice of real life. I tell her, Hannah, it's okay if the dishes aren't done. It's okay if you're not joyful today. But I see the look in her eyes. She's comparing herself to the Duggar standard too, and she feels like she's falling short. It's a cycle of comparison that only adds more pain to an already impossible situation. We need to talk about the postpartum fog and how it's being hit by a new pregnancy fog all at once for Hannah. Most people get a break between the hormonal crash of birth and the hormonal surge of a new pregnancy. Hannah didn't get that break. Her brain hasn't had a chance to normalize. Getty Images explore she's dealing with what I can only describe as a total mental blackout. She forgets what day it is, she loses her train of thought mid-sentence, and she's struggling with deep, dark bouts of anxiety. It's not just baby brain. It's a medical hormonal overload. In our family, we weren't always taught to recognize mental health struggles. We were told to pray about it or find joy in the Lord, but you can't pray away a chemical imbalance that's caused by back pregnancies. Hannah feels like she's losing her mind, and that creates a sense of isolation. She's surrounded by family, but she's alone in her head, fighting a battle that no one else can see. This fog is one of the most dangerous parts of the Irish twin reality because it's the part that makes you feel like you've already failed as a mother before the second baby is even born. People always ask what mom and dad think when things like this happen. In our house, mom and dad are the ultimate authorities. They've had 19 kids, so to them, another baby, even a fast one, is just another blessing to be welcomed. They tend to look at the big picture. The legacy, the family tree, the crowded Thanksgiving table. But sometimes looking at the big picture means you miss the person standing right in front of you who is breaking. My parents mean well, and they truly believe that God will give the strength. But I see a difference in how they're reacting to Hannah. Mom is being very practical, bringing over meals and helping with the laundry. But there's still this underlying message of this is what we do. There isn't a conversation about maybe you should slow down or let's talk about your health. It's just keep going. I love my parents, but I wish they would lead the way in saying that a mother's health is the most important part of the blessing. Their stance is one of faith, but sometimes I worry that it's a faith that ignores the physical reality of the women in our family. Hannah needs them to be her advocates, not just her cheerleaders. I want to talk about something that isn't very pretty, but it's the truth about what Hannah is going through. Nutrient depletion. When you have babies this close together, the second baby is basically taking from an empty cupboard. Your body hasn't had the time to restock the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, or the folate in your system. Hannah has been losing her hair in clumps, and her teeth have become so sensitive she can barely drink cold water. That's not just pregnancy symptoms. That's her body literally sacrificing its own structure to build a new life. It's a deficit that's hard to climb out of when you're also nursing a newborn and getting zero sleep. She's running on fumes, and you can see it in her pale skin and the dark circles that won't go away. It's a physical debt that she'll be paying back for years. I wish more people in our circle understood that trusting God doesn't mean ignoring the biological bank account of your own body. The word high risk is something that gets thrown around a lot, but for Hannah, it's a daily reality because her body hasn't healed from her last delivery. Her doctors are monitoring her for things like uterine windowing, where the uterine wall becomes dangerously thin. She has to go in for scans every 2 weeks now. Every time she feels a contraction or a twinge, there's a moment of pure panic. Is the scar holding? Is the baby getting enough blood flow? This isn't the joyful anticipation we see in the movies. It's a medical tightrope. Jeremiah is the one who has to drive her to these appointments, and I know he's terrified of what the doctors might say next. A high-risk diagnosis changes the way you look at your own body. It stops being a vessel of life and starts feeling like a ticking time bomb. We are all just holding our breath, waiting for her to reach a safe viability week. Practically speaking, the house in Nebraska is in a state of total chaos. Trying to prepare a nursery for a third baby while the second baby is still in a crib and hasn't even learned to walk yet is overwhelming. There are diapers everywhere, boxes of outgrown clothes mixed with new ones, and Hannah just doesn't have the strength to organize it. I've gone over to help her fold clothes, and we'll just sit there surrounded by piles of laundry. both of us feeling like we're drowning. It's hard to feel prepared for a new life when you haven't even finished the firsts with your current baby. The nesting instinct is there, but the body just won't cooperate. It's a visual representation of their lives right now. Everything is happening too fast, and there's no room to just sit and enjoy the moment. The nursery isn't a place of peace. It's a place of how are we going to do this? If Jeremiah were standing here right now, I'd tell him what I've been trying to say on the phone. Brother, it is okay to put Hannah first. I know he feels the weight of the family legacy, but his first ministry is to his wife. He needs to be the one to say no to the extra visitors and no to the pressure of keeping up appearances. Protecting her health is a spiritual act. I want him to know that he's not a failure because his wife is struggling. He's a leader when he acknowledges that struggle and asks for help. He needs to be the barrier between Hannah and the world's expectations. Jeremiah, your kids need a healthy mom more than they need a perfect Duggar image. Don't be afraid to break the mold if it means keeping your family safe. The fans and our church community play a huge role in this, and honestly, sometimes it's not helpful. When people comment double blessings or you were made for this, they are adding to the pressure Hannah feels to perform. Instead of just saying congratulations, I wish people would ask, how can I help you rest? Or can I bring you a meal? We need to be a community that values the woman, not just the number of children she has. Hannah sees all the comments and she takes them to heart. If we only celebrate the outcome of a baby and not the health of the mother, we are failing the women in our lives. Let's be a community that cheers for naps and doctor, ordered bed rest just as much as we cheer for gender reveals. It's a hard thing to talk about, but as a family, the sisters have actually put together an emergency plan for Hannah. We've talked about who will take the babies if she has to be hospitalized, who will stay with Jeremiah, and how we will handle the news if things go wrong. It's a dark cloud to live under, but it's necessary. We've learned that you can't just assume everything will be fine. We have a group chat where we check in every morning. How is Hannah feeling? Did she eat? Is she dizzy? We are on high alert. This isn't just a story for us. This is our sister-in-law's life. Preparing for the worst doesn't mean we don't have faith. It means we love her enough to be ready for anything. We are her safety net, and we're making sure it's strong enough to catch her if she falls. At the end of the day, this whole Irish twin journey has taught me one thing. We have to choose health over image. We have to be okay with the world seeing us as weak or not having it all together if it means we are actually healthy and present for our families. Hannah is a warrior, but even warriors need to put down their shields. I hope that by being honest about this, it helps other moms realize that they don't have to be superwomen. Rest is a gift from God, and our bodies are not machines. My prayer for Hannah is that she finds the courage to prioritize herself, and that Jeremiah finds the strength to lead them into a season of true rest. Let's value the mother as much as the child. Thanks for walking through this long, hard story with me. Let's keep praying for Hannah